Right, welcome back to the Me, Myself, and Hopefully You podcast. My name is Tariq, a 19-year-old university student currently experiencing a midlife crisis. Why a midlife crisis at 19 years old? Well, I've no idea what to do with my life. First year of university was a bit of a mess. And so I decided to start a podcast like most people are doing these days. Did you know that pretty much everyone has a podcast? Yeah, it's frustrating when you're trying to grow one, but it is what it is. But anyway, if you're interested, or you want to just see where I end up, or maybe you can relate with me. Maybe you're in uni and you found it a bit of a struggle. Then make sure you subscribe, just so you don't miss any episodes that we drop here every Sunday at 12 p.m. UK time. This week, I sit with two interesting guests. Well, obviously they're interesting, or else I wouldn't be uploading it. One of the best things about starting the podcast is that I get to sit with people with different stories from different backgrounds. And one of the sort of common things that I've had is I've been able to sit with entrepreneurs, and especially with people with startups and have found startups. And I always think startups are quite interesting. I think the story is always quite interesting, and it's the best thing about sort of living in a capitalist society. The little man or the woman can grow into something massive by just making those first few steps. Maybe one day we can make this podcast massive. Yeah, we're at like 78 subscribers. Times that by 100,000, I can freaking drop out of uni, which sort of goes against the whole point of the podcast. So I guess it's a bit counterintuitive. Anyway, I'm getting distracted like I always do with these intros and outros. So this week I sit with two guys who are looking to take on the big dogs of the fitness industry by creating a platform with people-powered movement at the center of it all. Jonathan and Toby discuss how they came to develop the app, what the process has been like so far, tips for other startups, and why they believe it will be a success. So without further ado, Jonathan and Toby, the founders of the Alliance app. Jonathan, Toby, I'm going to start off with some quick fire questions for you both, just to get to know you a bit more, and then I'm just going to ask. I'll ask Toby like a bit more about both of you guys and what you guys do. So my first question to Jonathan is: who would you consider as your role model in life?
My role model. Wow, I used to have 2 copies of a book called Cash by Johnny Cash, right? And I used to have one upstairs and I used to have one downstairs, just in case I ever needed some life tips somewhere in between on the stairwell. So yeah, Johnny Cash. I mean, he's done it all. He was stuck in a cave for 3 days once. He got out of the cave. He saw the light. But yeah, Johnny Cash is a good example of someone that keeps going against all odds. He came back in the 80s. And the 90s, and pretty much every decade actually. So yeah, Johnny Cash, and you should read the book Cash by Johnny Cash.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with Johnny Cash's story. I'll definitely have a look at it. Toby, my question to you is, it's a bit of a random one. What's the last thing on your camera roll?
Cool, blimey. 2 seconds.
That's always the reaction you get with that. No one asks that question.
It's actually a screen grab of our new website.
Right,
which I've just sent over to Jonathan, but yeah, just that. I mean, I know that sounds a little bit staged, but that's the God honest truth.
Perfect. I have noticed that that usually comes back when guests give that answer. It's usually a perfect segue into another what we're about to talk about. So, I mean, before we talk about this website that you and Jonathan, or this platform that you and Jonathan have worked on. Toby, could you tell me more about how you guys sort of came about? How did you two meet? I know we've spoken before this podcast about Clubhouse. So could you give me the sort of background story on that?
Yeah, well, the whole kind of concept and idea came around the very first lockdown. I was at home, obviously. I've got 2 young children and a wife, so we were all sort of in together. And we're quite an active family, so we were out walking, and I was running a lot and working out, and the kind of concept of this came to me whilst I was out running one day, and I'd had it in my mind, and I've been sort of mulling it over for a long time. And I've had other ideas as well that I've kind of sat on for too long and then been caught out. So I decided to, I'd just been invited to Clubhouse. I was on Clubhouse quite a lot, talking in the rooms to various people. And I think it was a Saturday morning. I was in a room, some kind of tech room, I think, and Jonathan was in there, and they were asking me, if anybody had sort of ideas or concepts about stuff. And I didn't want to sort of say too much, but I did want to kind of sort of speak to somebody about it. And I think I reached out to Jonathan saying, great to speak to him, so we could have kind of a good conversation on Clubhouse. And we just then started talking, and that maybe was probably 2-3 months ago. And, we've sort of spoken every 15 minutes since then, really.
How close are you to getting sick of Jonathan?
Yeah, miles away. Absolutely
miles away still.
Yeah, we seem to be kind of the two different sides of the same coin, to be fair, which is perfect as business partners. We kind of really bring different elements to this, and it just seems to really work.
Well, you mentioned there about Toby about sort of you've had these ideas, had ideas before, and you just sat on them, and you were looking for, especially on Clubhouse, you're looking for someone to sort of do this or create this idea with you. Why did you choose Jonathan?
Well, just quickly going back about ideas and stuff. I'm a brand designer, so my mind is littered with some say it junk. But yeah, I'd had lots of ideas before, but I never really was kind of sure how to kind of push it to that kind of next step. And I think when I was on the Clubhouse, I just seemed to me and Jonathan just seemed to kind of click, and he kind of suggested a few ideas that we maybe could try, and it sort of gained pace very, very quickly. And we as I say, we kind of just seemed to kind of gel. And I haven't sort of spoken to too many people outside of sort of our circle about what we're kind of doing just yet, but it just seemed to kind of work, and we kind of sort of almost naturally kind of gravitated towards each other, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jonathan did mention to me before the podcast is about sort of, and you mentioned there that you're a graphics designer, that you have an interesting story to tell in terms of your background. Could you tell us more about that?
Well, I don't know how interesting that is, but I've worked in and out, like most designers, I've worked in and out of agencies up and down the country, in and out of London, and I kind of eventually ended up in Yorkshire after meeting my wife at the top of a mountain when we were snowboarding, and I kind of moved up to Yorkshire because it was just a beautiful place. I was kind of a little bit sort of tired of the South, the kind of, the rat race effectively, and just sort of really super friendly people up here. So I kind of moved up here and ended up working at a really big sort of global high street brand. And every agency I've worked at, I've always kind of got on really, really well with clients. And most of the agencies I've worked at, we haven't had kind of client handlers. So I've had that kind of really kind of close relationship with clients, I suppose. And then when I've moved on, I've then had that kind of phone call of oh, you've moved on, can we kind of potentially work together? So I've sort of picked up a bit like a sort of a snowball effect, really. I picked up clients as I've kind of gone along. And then when I've always kind of said to myself, if I'm working, if I turn up late to my day job, then it's time to kind of make a switch. And I was working at this high street retailer, and I was working maybe, I think 8 till 8, driving home an hour, seeing Natalie very, very quickly, my wife, eating whatever was it, in the house, and then getting back to work till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then the cycle happened again. So it was unsustainable, to be fair. But where I was working was really teaching me a lot of great kind of values, and I was picking up a lot of experience from the other designers I was working in. The team was fantastic as well, such a really close-knit team, and they're my friends still now. So it was very difficult to break away, but I knew that it was always something that I wanted to do. I always wanted to kind of work for myself, and I always wanted to create a kind of design agency and sort of see where that went. So I then kind of broke away and started working for myself 9 years ago, maybe. This might be my 10th year. And I kind of work with really from tiny kitchen startup ideas, like, ideas I've had before, right up to my biggest client, which is Hugo Boss. So it's kind of sort of thick and fast and everything in between, but it's, I love it. And it's been a very strange kind of path, but quite an enjoyable one. And I say I've learned a lot, and I think what I kind of bring to this kind of new project is kind of the creative muscle behind it, and sort of Jonathan brings that kind of refined sort of business side. So we kind of, as you say, we kind of are two different sides of the coin, but a good coin nonetheless.
Yeah, no, it seems like you sort of have that relationship where one of you has strengths and then the other's strengths is the other's weakness, if that makes sense. So like you said, you've got the creative side, nailed down, Toby. Jonathan, you've got the business side nailed down. You put those two together and you can have a successful project. Now, speaking of that project, Jonathan, could you tell me more about, what it is, what Alliance is, and how that came about?
Yeah, absolutely. So after our kind of chance meeting on Clubhouse, we had a couple of Zoom calls. We incorporated our new business a couple of weeks later, Alliance Applications Limited, and we set to work on how we were going to build a web platform, and secondary was a mobile application, really. And it's all designed to connect people and get them outdoors together and all moving together. So there's a live element as well, so that you can, move with your people, and whether it's running or walking or any other activity, it's all about getting people out there, connected. And we've just signed up an incredible charity that we're going to be working with. We have two amazing commercial partners as well. So we want people to do things for a bigger cause as well. So you could just use it to run or walk one-to-one, and Alliance is great for that. But also you could use it to walk or run with 5 or 10 other people or 20 other people and move towards a bigger goal. So you might be sharing a team goal, for example, and that's why it's really called Alliance, because it's about getting people all together to do one thing and, share that moment. And I think, things like lockdown have made people realize that it's so important to carve out that time to move and connect. And if you can do that together at the same time, Toby has a half an hour lunch break because he's too hard on himself because he loves working all day. But, if he can have that half an hour lunch break and move and connect with some of his favorite people, I think that's an incredible thing to do. And we can also do that for great causes as well. So we're all about kind of higher goals and motivation as well. It's so easy to kind of sit in bed on a dark February morning and not go for that run, whereas, we all know that just being outside for kind of 20 minutes, there's research about being outside for 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes every few days increases your happiness and your mental health by, tenfold, and decreases your blood pressure, and is really, really one of the most beneficial things that you can do. So Alliance is really here to get people out together and moving, and maybe people that don't move as much as they would like to, or don't think that they can. And it's so easy, and hopefully we're going to create these communities of people that are all going to encourage each other to kind of go on those missions, set those goals, and kind of do something else. You might be a casual runner, you might be a casual walker, you might just be a dog walker. So yeah, we have some incredible advisors and charity partners and commercial partners, which kind of all helping us do that. And we're kind of raising funds at the moment for the build. So yeah, it's a really exciting journey.
So right now, what is the sort of where are we in the development stage of the Alliance app?
Yeah, so the landing page is dropping on Monday. So I don't know when this is going out, but you'll probably have it available. So you can go to alliance-app.co.uk and you can go check it out. You can put your details in, and then you can be one of the first people that's going to use the Alliance app when it's ready. So there's kind of two things happening at the moment. The landing page, which is telling people about it, and that's going to turn into where you can create your virtual kind of movement clubs. So if you have 5 people, that you want to move with, you can invite them on there, and we can kind of set all of that up very early on. That's going to develop, and then also the app is being built separately, and that's all going to connect together. So you'll go on the web platform to kind of create your walking, running club, whatever you want to do, your activity club, and then you'll use the app when you're actually in motion to kind of connect everyone together. So that's where we're at. We're just talking to some incredible commercial partners, like I say, and raising that seed capital at the moment. So yeah, it should be fairly cheap to build. It's a pretty simple concept, and yeah, we think that we can get this moving pretty quickly.
But would you almost describe it as almost like a social media app then?
So we're not really social media. We think social media has done some interesting things. We're probably more like a running club than a social media, but you can kind of create your own running club. So that's what we're trying to do. And there's some cool kind of features in the app, which are kind of top secret at the moment, which we're going to be introducing as well when the app launches to make sure everyone's connected on the move. So yeah, there's a real community feel. So I wouldn't say social media. We're not really about meeting. So like Strava, if anyone's ever used Strava, it collects all your data, and it's got like, things that you could, you're basically competing against each other. We want people to be a bit more casual about how they go about it. I know, Toby, you kind of use Strava in competition with one of your neighbors, don't you?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah, and that really is the word. Is that competition? It almost. I mean, it's not even somebody that I know particularly well, to be fair. So that's even the worst part about it, is that I don't know this guy that well, but I kind of track him through this app. Okay, he's gone out and done 15 kilometers today. Well, I've got to go out and do 17 kilometers, and for me, I every time I looked at it, I just thought, God, what am I doing? Why am I competing with somebody that I don't even know? And it became sort of a bit hostile, not from his point of view at all, but from me. I kind of found myself kind of get a little bit sort of worked up and a bit anxious and stressed about this thing. And I think what we're kind of trying to do with Alliance is maybe is bring so much more community than any of these fitness tracking type of apps. And for me, that's where the idea was developed, was the fact that I was out working out, running constantly throughout lockdown, and which was great. It stopped my head from falling off a lot of the time, but I still found that I was still alone. Even when I kind of came back from running, I felt great, but I was like, well, there's that sort of still that slight piece of loneliness that you kind of think, well, I still would really like to be connected with somebody whilst I'm working out. And I suppose the obvious thing is go and knock on your neighbor's door and run with them. But obviously we couldn't do that at that point. And we still can't really. So, the concept was kind of built around really not having that opportunity to connect with other people face to face, but still connect to the people that like Jonathan said, that kind of half an hour slot at lunchtime where I might be, working in the middle of London and Jonathan might be working in London, but we're 4 miles apart, but we still want to be able to kind of get that, endorphin hit and that run and move our goals towards where we want to be. So we'll use Alliance to connect to each other to then move forward and move our Alliance goals forward together.
Or I might walk and you might run, and we can all do the same thing. It's okay.
Yeah. Really kind of that's the thing. Right? It's just kind of based down to movement. I don't think we want to kind of necessarily kind of ring fence walking or running or hiking or canoeing or anything like that. It's just really about that movement. I think, I think that's where we kind of will appeal to a lot of people, because I think some of these kind of, especially Strava, it's super competitive, and it's for me kind of, it's very elitist as well. You can be on there and you can't, and you're just in a leaderboard of other people, whereas with Alliance, you're with your people in a group moving forward, doing what you want to do, and connecting to each other as well at the same time whilst moving. So that really, for me, is that community and wellness is right at the heart of this.
See, I think what I'm really liking about what I've heard so far is I feel like there are some people who thrive on sort of competition. I'm definitely one. When I see my friends on Strava and, I've got a friend and he's done 5 kilometers, I'm like, right, I need to go do 5 kilometers, right? I need to put this dessert down and go do a 5K. But then I think everyone can say that they work harder at something when they know someone else is relying on them or someone else is almost counting on them. And that's what this sort of, it sounds like this, that's what Alliance would give you, is that, say, for example, Toby, you say, right, Jonathan, even though we're 4 miles apart, I'm going to go for a 10K run. You can go for a walk or 10K walk, but you got to do 10K. So you can either do a walk, cycle, hike, whatever you want. You got to do a 10K. And say, right, Toby, you go and you do your run. And then Jonathan's there like, oh, I really can't be bothered. I got so much work to do. I don't want to. But then he knows in the back of his head, well, Toby's relying on me so that we can hit this goal, right? Because you both calculated that if we do 10K every single other day, we're going to get to 100K by this time, which is our goal. And I think that's what will allow the app to be as universal as possible. Not only is it different sort of fitness workouts, but it's also the fact that everyone does better when someone else is relying on them. Yeah, and I think that's what's brilliant about the app, and that's definitely something that I think will make Strava stand out, because there is a thing on Strava that allows you to kind of do things with other people. But like you said, it is still slightly competitive. Now, for me, that does work sometimes. But I know for a fact that if someone else was relying on me to do 10K, it doesn't matter what time it was, but to do a 10K, I would definitely go out and do that 10K. And that's better for everyone. I work out, that's healthy for me. The other person is close to their goal. I'm close to my goal. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, I think it's I think with Strava, I'm in kind of friends with a lot of people on Strava and people that I know, people that I don't know, some people, but I think there is that lack of kind of really close communication. I think that you have with people. You just see yourself in that leaderboard. Okay, I have that kind of feeling of, okay, I need, that's that kind of connection of okay, I need to go out and do my bit now. I need to go and sort of, and that is a real sort of motivator. But this is right, at the core of this really is that motivation and looking after each other whilst you're doing that thing, that activity. And I think, like you say, it will be at the core of it will be, just being together, and doing it. And I think, that the idea of not letting someone down, even though there is that kind of sort of niggly feeling in your head, I think you are ultimately, motivating each other to get out there and do it, because you'll move as one. So yeah, that's where I kind of feel that's going to be kind of the standout difference for it, really.
Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree with you on that point. Jonathan, I think my question to you would be that with this new app, we've mentioned, several times there about different competitors. And I know it's, a bit sort of secret right now what your unique selling point is essentially. But what would you say is the thing that will allow you to stand out a bit more? Because obviously the community thing is great. But could you maybe potentially touch on why you believe that Alliance can compete with something as big as Strava?
Yeah, so we're not just going to be collecting data like Strava does. I mean, that's their main kind of point. We talked about Strava way too much. What we're going to do is actually make all of that much, much more accessible. So you don't have to be in that competitive environment. So if you want to walk or run and potentially have a live connection experience with someone whilst you're moving, this is Alliance. This is what Alliance does. So we're going to do that through the app. There's a few top secret elements, which if you go to alliance-app.co.uk, by the time this podcast comes out, you'll be able to sign up and we'll send you an email to tell you all about it. Or if you follow the Instagram at the Alliance app, you can find out all about it there. But there's going to be some secret elements in the app, and the web platform is basically where the community happens. So you build your running or movement club, and then when you're actually going on your run or your walk, so you kind of set your goals and then you activate it really through the app. So it's a real kind of cross-platform outdoor experience. We're not just using a mobile app. That's not it. So it's really accessible to everyone. Even if you don't have the mobile app, you'll still be able to join. Everyone's going to be able to join in this. So this isn't kind of age exclusive. This isn't for 18-year-olds just because it sounds like a tech thing. This is really for anyone that wants to move and connect at the same time with some people that they might have lost touch with, or some people that they kind of know that might be even 4 or 20 or 100 miles away or on the other side of the world. You know, we have an advisor in America who's going to be testing this for us, because we're going to walk and move with her, and you know, she's in Tennessee and we're in London, so it works anywhere around the world. And it's just that time and that place to kind of carve out an incredible movement live experience with your people on the go. But also it's for bigger goals as well. So if you all wanted to walk, you know, or run or move 100,000 miles for charity, we have charity partners that would love you to do that for them, and we can kind of facilitate that all through the technology as well. So it's going to be a combination of your Just Giving, your Strava, your Nike Running Club, plus some top secret activation elements in the app as well to connect you all together on the move. So that's really the magic of Alliance. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that definitely does answer my question. So, I mean, one of the things that I'm really glad about with the podcast that I'm doing is I'm getting, you know, people like yourselves with startups. And my plan is I want to do another episode with those startups in a year, exactly a year from that day. So, I mean, hopefully, what is it today? The 7th of May. So 7th of May, 2022, we get to do another one, and we get to see where Alliance is. I'm going to ask you both this question, actually. I'm going to ask the same question. Not because I think you both have different ideas for the app, but where you want the app to be at the point. So 7th of May, 2022, Toby, where do you want Alliance to be?
Changing people's lives.
Right, okay.
Because essentially that's what this will do. I know we've touched on other community apps, well, less so community apps, but these kind of tracking apps, and you know, that they're big powerhouses, but I think this, you know, this has the ability to actually do good for people and bring people back together and get people outdoors and really kind of change and manage that kind of wellness of each person. So I think in a year's time, we're going to have a lot of people using it every day, and it's going to feel great. It's going to, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I'm really excited about how this is going to change other people's lives.
Definitely, I can definitely see that as well, because, you know, like, if lockdown has taught so many people so many different things, but exercise and community. I mean, I can't remember whether it was you, Jonathan, or whether it was Toby that said this, where it was like, if you can put both together, it's like a perfect sort of ball of goodness in a sense. It's good for everyone. It's healthy, and it's, I think, definitely, hopefully after lockdown, I think when people start going back to work and going back to their, you know, long weeks, if they've not been doing that during lockdown already, is they'll start going, do you know what I really miss? I really miss that walk that I used to do every week. Yeah. You know, there's so many people on social media now that are talking about how they for 5 months now, or for a year now, they've been walking, you know, every other day doing 10,000 steps. And it's like, I can't imagine not doing this anymore. So I think with this app, like I was referring to earlier, like the whole community feeling and the whole, well, Jonathan, you're going to rely on Toby, you're going to rely on Jonathan, is what will help people continue those, you know, workouts that they were doing or whatever. And I don't really like using the term workout, because when people say workout, not that I don't work out and I don't use that term, but when people say it, it's automatically assumed as if it's, right, you got to get sweaty and like, you know, start pumping iron or whatever. Well, no, it can just be a simple walk, and walking has so many benefits, but there's no need to get into that. That's a completely different topic.
I think, you know, we've been looking at a lot of data, a lot of numbers from everywhere, and you know, that there's a huge slide that we found that people through gym memberships across the country, across the world, a lot of people haven't taken that back up. They've realized over this lockdown period that they can work out, as you say, not a great word, but they can move, they can exercise, and still get that kind of you know, that health kick that they need from just being outside and being, you know, active outside. So this really is, you know, is perfect for that.
I've definitely noticed that as well. Like, I haven't signed up for a gym yet because I'm still doing the home workouts. They feel better. They're a lot easier as well. You don't have to go all the way to the gym and then do it and then feel bad about yourself and then come back. It's like I can just do it from home. And I've noticed as well, like the how I felt over lockdown is completely changed, and it's been through home workouts, because there's been time in lockdown where I've gone, I really need to do something. How about I go outside for a walk, or whether I do something at home? Jonathan, same question to you then. 7th of May, 2022, where is Alliance?
So we're projected to have about 250,000 active users by that point. We're going to have used up our seed funding very, very well. on building out the product and taking that to market, basically. So some of that is for user acquisition. So that's so that we can get the message out there and speak to people. That costs money sometimes. And the rest of it is on some tech. So we've got some really clever tech stuff going on that we're going to need to build out. And yeah, we're going to have 250,000 active users, some incredible commercial partners. We've already got some. We don't have the product yet, so there's already people kind of knocking on our door saying, can we get involved in this? And we're like, absolutely, we'd love everyone to get involved in this, whether you're a person or a company or just interested in what we're doing, interested in the message or a charity. So love all of those sorts of people. And, you know, we'd love to help some, you know, local businesses as well. So we're partnering with one incredible commercial partner, which actually what they do is they have the device. I say device, it's like a wearable whereby you can store your phone, right? So it's like a harness to store your phone, but it's really lightweight. So that's one of the first commercial partners that we had, because we thought, hey, if you're going to need to have your phone and use Alliance on the move, you're going to need a lightweight, you know, way to store it, and a safe way. And it's got lights and reflectors, so it's super safe and everything like that, and just really lightweight. So that's a small business that we're kind of working with. And like I said about the charity, so yeah, I mean, we're going to be knocking on the door of 250,000 odd users. It's going to be tens of thousands of people a week. They're going to be inviting their friends, creating running clubs. You know, we don't want to replace running clubs because there's obviously a place for that. But it's like, if you can't go to your running club, or if you don't want to go to your running club, well, why wouldn't you use this? I think, you know, running clubs, traditional running clubs, can alienate some people. Not everyone feels comfortable doing it. So this is kind of a perfect replacement. You can create your own virtual walking movement club, no pressure, right? Absolutely no pressure, no judgment here, right? You can do whatever you want, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that whole idea of not wanting to sort of maybe run with other people. I've never ran. Have I? No, I've never run with other people.
I'd call myself a jogger, right? So I'd call myself a jogger. People have tried to get me in like running clubs and like park runs. I like jogging, right? And jogging for me is about getting out and doing it at my own pace. You know, I've spoken to friends, you know, on the phone whilst I've been jogging, for example, and, you know, or just like take a seat on a bench, and it doesn't matter whether I sit there for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. But I just feel that there's so much pressure, and especially in kind of the fitness community, whatever the fitness community is, you know, we're not really in the fitness community. We're in the people business, right? We just want people to have, you know, the right tools that kind of fit them, I guess. And it's not for everyone, you know, running clubs and fit tech and Gymshark. You know, I look at the people on the Gymshark. I mean, this is a slate a load of big brands now, but you know, the people on the Gymshark Instagram are not necessarily for me. So, you know, that's just my opinion.
You are feeling a bit more.
You can be kind of a slave to the data, can't you, as well? So
yeah, of course.
You know, I think when you're saying sitting down, having 5 minutes and doing what you want, you know, that really is the core of what we do. You know, as you say, we're involved in people. That's really where we're coming from. Absolutely 100% people. And rather than kind of going, oh, wow, I'm only running a 7:30-minute mile. Well, who cares? You know, as long as you're getting to that achieved goal at the end of the month, you know, you don't even have to have achieved goal. It doesn't have to be time. It doesn't have to be anything. It is just purely about that motivation between a few people to keep going, get out there and
it reminds me of like Couch to 5K. It's just encouraging people to just do a little bit more. If you just do a little bit more and you enjoy doing it, then that's got to be the key. You know, that's got to be the key. However old you are, you know, I think this would be great for kids and great for people that don't think it's for them. So Couch to 5K, Couch to 1K, who cares, right? Do a little bit more than you did yesterday, and I think we're all onto a win.
Couch 5K is brilliant. That's how I got into running or jogging or whatever. It's brilliant because it's. I remember when I started it, and I remember when I saw the first day, and I thought, wait, jog for a minute and walk for a minute and a half. That's easy. I can easily do that. And I remember I did it. And the first day I did it, I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I can't do this. Because when you read it, you think it's easy. And then when you actually do it, you're struggling. And then the next day it's the same. And then the next day it's the same. Then the fourth day it's a little bit different. And I remember, I think it was the sixth day, which was the big one, because it was like, oh no, actually it might have been the ninth day, where it was like run for 5 minutes non-stop. And I thought, run for 5 minutes non-stop? Like that blew my mind, the idea of running fast. But it's like the app, it's like you did what the app tells you to do, but in the back, the app was actually slowly building you up to that 5 minutes, and you didn't even realize. And I remember when I did it, I thought, whoa, I can run for 5 minutes without like pausing, which is crazy.
Imagine that experience, but you have some of your best friends also cheering you on. So that's kind of where we're coming from.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. I like the community feeling that you're giving with this app, and I think it's definitely important. And again, post lockdown, I think it's another sort of huge lesson that people have learned is the importance of community, the importance of the work community. Because a lot of people I know that have worked from home have said, you know what, I used to complain about it all the time, but I miss the small chat. I miss small talk. I miss the sitting in the office and, you know, not procrastinating on work and just having a chat about football or something. You know, people have missed that feeling. And I think what Alliance can give them is potentially give them that feeling back with exercise as well, so that they'll be doing something that's good for their body and good for their mind. I
don't necessarily think it's always kind of about chewing someone's ear off when you're on on Alliance necessarily, unless you're walking and that's what you want to use it for, which is, you know, there's lots of use cases for this. And when, you know, who are we to say how people can use this? You know, they do what they want. And so, you know, I think
we were talking to a dog walker the other day, and she said, is this all about running? And we said, no, this is like, go walk your dogs with your friends, right? Go and kind of have a virtual dog walking club, you know? So yeah, it's definitely not about a specific thing. We're going to give people the tools and kind of let them go for it and kind of see how it grows, really. So in a year's time, we're going to have lots of different types of club. Probably we might have Alliance. Well, we haven't branded this yet.
Alliance for dogs.
Don't say too much. Don't say too much. Come on.
Cut that.
Right. Okay. So to get back on sort of on Alliance specifically, on the app specifically, sorry, or the platform specifically, sorry. This whole process, I feel like, I mean, when did it actually start? When would you say was the starting point of this?
It's only been a few weeks, really.
Yeah. So
4 weeks.
Okay. So it's all right. So it's been. So how would you argue it's been quite a quick like turnover to where you are right now? Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's been so quick that you've been? Because this is quite surprising. The fact that it's only been talent. Is it Jonathan's talent or Toby's talent? That's what I'm.
Toby's.
It's all Toby. See, Jonathan's too humble.
Hey, listen, you know, like I said before, you know, I'm kind of the ideas guy, I suppose, and so I needed Jonathan, and this wouldn't be happening without him because it would still be deep inside my brain. And you know, I obviously, you know, mentioned earlier about other ideas that I'd had previously, and I had this, you know, another app idea which actually, funny enough, came out about 6 months ago, and I kicked myself. And it was something, you know, that wasn't quite exactly the same, but it kind of taught me a lesson to actually kind of take hold of this and do something with it. You know, because as I say, you know, we've met, you know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, whatever it was, and I think, you know, other than talent, which comes 100% from both sides, this just feels so natural. And I think when you get two people that are passionate, or however many people that are passionate and you know, ultimately want to change people's lives, I think this really, you know, it's kind of, we've had to do the hard work and, you know, the hard graft, and, you know, we're still talking 2-3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So, you know, the messages that are coming back and forwards, you know, all idea based and where we're going to go, how we're going to do it. I think, you know, it just feels so natural. So I think, you know, when you find something that you kind of love, it just feels so natural for it to work like this. And I suppose, you know, you don't mind when you know what that kind of end goal is, and ultimately that is helping other people.
I think sometimes it's really difficult. I think you explained in the early days, you know, a few weeks ago. Sometimes to take it feels like a lot longer ago, but it was only a few weeks ago. But sometimes it's really hard to take the first step. So we've both got day jobs, we both do other things. And this is like a side gig, which is now taking up all of our time and is going to basically probably become our full-time jobs, you know, in not very long at this rate, you know, the way things are progressing. And, you know, the first real step was actually making a pitch deck. And that helped, you know, just formalize the thinking at like, what is the problem? What is the solution? You know, what is the potential product? How much is this going to cost? Because without any of that, it's just an idea up in the air somewhere. So I would kind of say, you know, if anyone had an idea, we're fully open to helping them with that, because we've talked about, and we've actually talked to other entrepreneurs to kind of help them, you know, get some of their early stage products off the ground. So if anyone has something, we're happy to hear from them. But the first thing to do is make a brilliant pitch deck and just really, really formalize the issues there. You know, do some research, do some reading around your subject, and then just put it down. Because if it doesn't exist in a hard copy, we can't do anything with it. You know, I can't use it. I can't send it to an investor. I can't speak to a commercial partner about it. I can't pitch a charity, whatever it is. You can't do anything. You can't get new customers. You know, it's just impossible. So even if it's an idea, put it down, formalize. You just Google pitch deck, and like there's a million different templates. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But, you know, problem, solution, product, money. Think about the money early on as well. You know, very, very early on, we said, okay, this seed funding is going to cost us 150 grand. We know why that is. We know what percentage of that's going to go on user acquisition. We know what's going to go on the app build, and we know what's going to go on the web platform. That's what we need right now. And then that's kind of how we've been able to carry it forward. At that point, what you can also do is line up commercial partners. So as soon as we have, which we have on Monday, the web platform, we actually have a revenue stream ready to go. So a lot of young CEOs and entrepreneurs try and raise a lot of money. And I say it's a big trap that they can fall into. You don't necessarily always need to raise a lot of money. What you should do is think about how you can monetize what you've got. If you can get users, then you can monetize those users. And as long as you can monetize users through some sort of web platform or mobile app, you can make money. You never have to give any of your business away ever again. So don't get too concerned by seeing Bumble launching an IPO for $1 billion. It doesn't matter. You're not going to be, that's not, it took them 20 years to do that. So, you know, that is not startup success. That's not what startups look like. And, you know, I just don't want people to fall into that trap, because what they should be doing is focusing on the commercials much, much, much more early on. And it's something that we are doing here at Alliance. And it's because it's going to be able to fund the business and help us do better things and help us help more people. If we don't have any money, we can't help any people. And we don't necessarily have to give 30% of the business away to do that. We are in a seed funding round. That's slightly different. You know, you want some seed money, but to then start raising, you know, your Series A, your Series B, all of that stuff down the line, you need to look really hard at why you don't have commercial opportunities first, I'd say. So that's something that I kind of look after at Alliance, and something I've got a firm grip on.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like it. No, what I find so interesting is when talking to you both and asking you questions, especially when I ask you the same question, you can definitely tell that one of you's the creative sort of output and the other one's the business mind in the sort of relationship. The way Toby sort of gives his answers.
I'd question that slightly, Tat. I did do a marketing and advertising strategy degree a long time ago.
I mean, I'm not saying you're not creative at all, Jonathan. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, but what I am saying is you can definitely
definitely I think it has to be.
Yeah. And it works. Like that's why it sort of works, and that's why the sort of whole what you were saying earlier on right at the beginning, Toby, about how you're two sides of the same coin. You can definitely sort of see that. You know, one of you's heads, one of you's tails. What I want to ask you is my second to last question is you've had, I would say, some success, especially since it's only the first few weeks. What would you say have been some sort of points, or a point where you've gone, oh bloody hell, I don't know about this, or something's happened, or like a failure where you've just not been happy with something, and it's been a setback. That's the word I was looking for. A setback. This whole process. Now I feel like Jonathan knows his answer, but Toby, you're still thinking. So I'm going to go to Jonathan first.
No, it's just at the early stage, it's really difficult. So, when we're kind of in stealth mode, there's a lot of amazing things that our platform's going to do, but we're concerned about, keeping some of that a bit protected as well. So when you are pitching, when you're pitching to investors, for example, you have to pitch to the right ones, and actually finding those, is a job in itself. It's a full-time job. Not every investor is going to be right for you. So, that's a big learning. Myself and Toby own 50% each of this business. It's a partnership in that sense, and there's room probably for one more. So whoever that person is, it's probably got to be someone that we get on with. We have some amazing advisors which want to help us because they see how good the idea of the platform is. But in terms of the person kind of bringing that seed capital, it's kind of a huge learning curve and a big old process really. And not everyone's out for the same thing, I guess. So you've got to find those people that are right for you. Not every investor with a blank check is going to be the right one. And yeah, if you're going to be working with them all day long and they're going to demand things from you, which they will, they have to get on, So, in our situation, we've got Toby, the creative, I look after commercials, we kind of, are probably going to be working with someone with a more tech focus, for example. So it's kind of what is that missing bit of your founding team is kind of what we're piecing together at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's what I wanted to ask you before I ask you, Toby, the similar question is: have you sort of had that experience, like in the sense that you've worked with people and you've gone, you know what, mate, it's nothing personal, we just don't seem to be able to work together?
Not at Alliance.
No. Yeah, no, I'm talking about Alliance specifically. Yeah.
In my life, yes.
If he goes, yeah, Toby, I can't work with this guy, honestly.
Yeah, we'd have a problem.
Come on this podcast to tell me that.
Yeah, this is how we did it.
That's what basically Jonathan.
We actually have the opposite problem. We have people that want to work with us. So we have a couple of incredible advisors at the moment who are wonderful. So we have people approaching us all the time. It's kind of it's almost not kind of, we love everyone as well. If they're bringing something and they genuinely want to help us and we can bring something to them, we always look for a win-win. So, I'd say to any students listening, get in touch. We love students as well. We can probably teach them a whole load about marketing or get some interns, but at its core, the founding team, it's a really important dynamic in any business, especially a kind of a tech start or a startup situation. So that third person is going to be really crucial. So we're kind of very carefully vetting those people at the moment. Even if they did bring 150 grand, we might not necessarily say yes. So I think and that's the right thing to do, because long term, you can take bad money. There is such a thing as bad money. It sounds mad, but there is such a thing as taking
a bad 150k.
There is a bad.
I hope someone gives me a bad 150k.
Honestly, no. But the thing is, you might do that once, but you never do that again. So, right. From my experience, saying yes to the right opportunities, and this is why it's so important to keep your handle on the commercials early on. Because you don't want to necessarily have to keep raising that kind of money. And the more money you raise, the more beholden you are to other people. More people are going to own more of your business. Myself and Toby know exactly where this is going, and we want to own as much of it as we can, which is why we are putting things in place now to do that. So that's how you keep control of your business ultimately. But yeah, there's such thing as a bad 150k.
Well, I mean, if a bad 150k comes to you, yeah, just send them over to me, and I'll see if it's a bad 150k.
Yeah, but you won't get on with them, Tarek. You won't want to work with them either, you see. So it's about whether they know about your business, whether they have an interest in you, whether they believe in you, all of that stuff. You know, unless you have a very, very passive investor, which is, if it's a single investor, they often aren't very passive. You know, a single investor often wants to get involved.
Yeah.
A lot of venture capital. So we're actually talking to a couple of accelerators, which is more like a community where they've already set up, you know, 6 other businesses, and they share office space. And they, you know, they go through the investment round, but then they also, you know, provide other things as well. So, you know, something like that often suits businesses as well. One person with 150 grand doesn't necessarily suit everyone. So we're exploring lots of different options at the moment. There's kind of early seed funding, there's venture capital, there's angel investors, and they all come with their kind of pros and cons, is what I'd say.
Toby, what would you say your? I mean, I know it's been a long time since I asked that question because we started getting on this topic.
I was talking too much.
No, it's not that. It's not that at all. Yeah, what would you say? Do you feel like you've had any sort of setbacks doing it? I know you said that originally you were someone that sort of had these ideas but never like really went through it. Has there been a point where you've gone, you know what, maybe I don't know, should I maybe, and just being a bit sort of overwhelmed with it all?
I mean, I think not overwhelmed. No. I think for me, I don't feel like we've had any, you know, there hasn't been any kind of bumps in the road or hiccups or you know, negative elements to it, because it's always just a kind of constant learning for me, you know. So, you know, I bring, you know, 20 plus years of creativity to this side of this project, and Jonathan does the similar thing with, as he's just talked about, you know, that kind of knowledge that I don't know, that I'm constantly learning. So for me, it's a real learning process, and I think, you know, that's why it kind of works so well. I think the great thing is that everybody we're speaking to are kind of latching onto it, saying, why hasn't this been done before? Why hasn't, you know, and I always find that when you hit upon one of those ideas, you know, that's golden. And I think, you know, and I think, you know, that came out of my brain at some point. But as I said, it wouldn't have happened without Jonathan pulling it out. So
when I saw that first deck, and it was just supposed to be a rough pitch deck, I said, don't worry about how it looks, don't worry about how it sounds, just get the idea. And it was pretty much the pitch deck which we are still using, because it was absolutely stunning. And when you see on Monday, when the landing page launches, that all that branding is kind of there. So we have the benefit of not having to kind of pitch out our branding to a marketing agency, because we have Toby to do it. You know, between us, we both write copy. We've both written copy for a long time, so we can both write copy, right? And we don't have to kind of, you know, get a supplier to do that. And kind of we've come a really long way, I think. And we've, like I say, we've got 2 commercial partners signed up and a charity partner, and there's going to be loads more to follow. But yeah, it's an exciting journey. No, but we've had a few no's. We've had a few. Why wouldn't I just use the Nike Running Club? All right, if you want to use the Nike Running Club, go and use it. This might not be for you. So it's we've had a few of those.
You know, that type of thing is a completely different proposal to what we're doing. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
We come from such a different angle, and until we can really talk about it properly, until we can, and we'd love to come and tell you about it again. You'll definitely see how we bring our concept to life. And I think, you know, as I say, you know, this has kind of been ideated from me, and then brought to life really kind of by Jonathan. But, you know, with my kind of creativity, I'm a difficult man to please when it comes to that kind of thing. So every time I'm kind of doing something, you know, the only sticking point really is kind of myself, I suppose, making sure that things are right, because, you know, we kind of have been through this process really quickly. And usually when I'm working with a client, I might take 6 weeks to produce a brand identity. Well, this brand identity was probably produced in maybe 6 days, less than that.
Toby, you've just reminded me of a sticking point. So, Tarek, Toby thinks that he's working on a multi-million-pound Hugo Boss campaign. But actually, he brings the same production values to to what we're doing.
Yeah.
But the detail and kind of, you know, the aesthetic and the perfection on that route, you know, we did our brand canvas the other day, which is whereby we decide, you know, what is our brand personality, you know, all of that stuff. And when we kind of had that, you know, it really started to come together. And then, you know, obviously the landing page has taken it, you know, now I've seen, Tarek, you've seen the landing page. You had a sneak preview, didn't you, of the landing page?
Yeah.
You see kind of the detail and the dedication and what's kind of going into this. So we're kind of going to bring that to everything that we build, really, you know, whether it's from a brand point of view, whether it's on Instagram, hopefully giving people, you know, call information on Instagram. And when we actually come to develop, you know, the app fully, it's going to all be there. That kind of attention to detail and dedication, really. Not a sticking point. That was a compliment. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, so I mean, my main sort of reason why I started this podcast was because, you know, I'm a 19-year-old who just didn't know what to do with my life. And I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends, and I know a lot of people in general just feel the same, especially, you know, in the middle of lockdown and everything else. They just didn't know what they wanted to do. You both come from kind of different backgrounds, different qualifications, different jobs. So I'm going to ask you, you know, a similar question to both of you, but slightly different. So Jonathan first, what advice would you give to someone that's just come out of, or is about to, or is doing a business degree or business related degree or a marketing degree or whatever, and then is like, right, I've got this degree, what do I do now?
Yeah, go and get a job in an agency. It's the best thing you can do. It's very competitive. Go work in a London agency. If you're doing a business degree, go work in sales, go work in business development, go do a few different things. If you want to be a copywriter, go be a copywriter. If you want to make a few quid, go into new business and business development. Don't start your own business if you're just leaving university necessarily. It's not for everyone. It's taken me over 12 years to get to the point whereby I have the right skills to do that. I think it would be a huge challenge for someone to do what we're doing, you know, at the age of 21. So I think go and work for clients. You need all of those skills. Go and learn from some good people that you respect. Go on LinkedIn, find some people that you think that are saying your kind of thing, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's advertising. Follow them and then harass them until they give you a job, and don't stop until they give you a job. I got my first market research job because I was standing behind the bar at a pub, working at a pub, and I was introduced to someone, and she was managing director of a huge market research agency, and that was before I went to university. So that's why I ended up in kind of the data world. So yeah, always say yes as well. If someone offers you a job, say yes.
Toby, similar question to you, someone that's maybe not even gone to university, or just someone that is into, like you said, or graphics design, something that you were involved in, but then has come out of it and just doesn't know what to do, or is still doing the degree, or is still doing maybe something and is worried about the sort of future of what they're doing.
I think it's difficult, you know. I had a similar sort of situation when I came out of school. I didn't do particularly well at school at all. I was very, very good at the practical side of things, PE, drama, anything like that. But when it kind of came to sort of exporting that information onto a piece of paper in a timed manner, I sort of fell apart, to be fair. I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I kind of, you know, I worked my way through and had ideas of, you know, maybe I could go to art college, and I went to art college because my brother did. My brother's a photographer. Thought, oh, maybe I should do that. And then I kind of found design that way. So, I mean, my advice would be not to panic, because I think lots of things are changing right now. I know lots of companies in Manchester and London and places like that. These kind of new media companies where they're not really interested in how many A levels you've got and what degree you've got, and you know, whether you wear a shirt or whether you wear odd pairs of socks. They'd rather you wear an odd pair of socks because it shows personality. And I think from a creative perspective, I can't kind of talk from, you know, a really core sort of business perspective, but from a creative perspective, the more personality has to be the right personality, of course, but showing flair and personality and being able to kind of speak for yourself rather than kind of maybe hiding behind, other people necessarily. I think, that really kind of shows kind of true character. And I think lots of these new media companies are being built solely on kind of people that have maybe dropped out of college, university, and haven't really kind of enjoyed that sort of process, but still have tons and tons of experience. And if you don't really know what you do, what you'd like to do, it's funny because I was thinking about this the other day that I've worked for myself in the design sector for 10 years now. And it's kind of really only now we're kind of building Alliance that I kind of really maybe know what I want to do and what this idea can do for me. Not necessarily on a monetary platform at all. I'm not really bothered about money, but from being able to help people, and maybe this is kind of my true calling. So it's kind of, I'm 42, so I'd say don't panic. That would be my key, is don't panic. It'll happen. It'll happen when it needs to happen, but just kind of stay true to yourself, I think I would say.
Yeah, we're going to employ people with personality. We can teach the rest. Hey, I can teach you all about ad tech. Toby can teach you about design, but I can't teach attitude. I can't teach a bad attitude. So you've got to want to do it. And if you want to do it enough, then we can teach anyone.
And that is it for this week's episode of the podcast. A shorter one than most. I think they're shorter. It should be shorter. Because I just ramble on too much. I'm trying to ramble on less. But I hope you did enjoy this episode. I really enjoyed sitting with Jonathan and Toby once again and having a chat about their startup journey, and wish them all the best. If you want to help them out, or you're interested by the Alliance app, then I will leave a link to the Alliance app, to the waiting list in the description. And yeah, it was an absolute pleasure to sit with them and just have a chat. What I also wanted to say is, if people actually do reach the end of the videos, which I don't think people actually do, to be honest, but if you do, then tell me, because I want to know if you actually reach the end. And if you do, I really do appreciate it, because it means a lot. I know I was talking at the beginning of I want to make this podcast big. Frankly, if I'm being honest, I don't think that will ever happen. I just want to sort of learn new things, meet new people, which I have done, meet some amazing people, and hopefully maybe inspire other people to start YouTube or start podcasting or start making something that makes them happy. I started this podcast when I was quite down in life mentally. I was, I think, struggling more than I'd probably ever struggled before. And my sort of mental health since I started it has pretty much shot up. So yeah, not to get too soppy, but it is the truth. So if you want to start something, go ahead and start it. And it's actually inspired me to start other things as well. And sort of take advantage of the fact that I have no social life. And so I have all these extra hours to just do extra stuff and hopefully make something of myself one day. But anyway, yeah, if you did enjoy this episode, please do subscribe. Make sure you comment down below what your favorite part of the episode was, what you think about the Alliance app. And maybe if you've got some feedback for Jonathan and Toby, put it in the description box. What else do I need to say? This is very unprofessional, right? This isn't very professional, but I'm sort of in that mood of just wanting to talk. And since it's a shorter episode, I can talk a lot more because it's my podcast. Anyway, what I was going to say was make sure you subscribe for next week's episode, because next week I have got a pretty amazing episode, right? I'm going to be sitting with Ramon Reed. Now, you might have seen a video of Ramon circulating a bit. It is a video of Ramon in Walmart in America. And he's fascinated by all the different types of cereals. Now, the reason why he's so fascinated by all the different types of cereals that Walmart has to offer is because he has just recently come out of prison after a 24-year sentence. He'd actually never been to Walmart before, and so he'd just come out. And thankfully, I managed to convince him to come on, and we recorded a great episode. So next week, Ramon Reed, 24-year sentence. He talks to me more about why he got sentenced to 24 years, what it was like to attempt to rob a bank, having chemicals thrown at his face, and also losing his grandma during his prison sentence, what that was like and how that affected him, considering how close he was with his grandma. But if you don't want to miss that episode, then make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell your friends, listen, this episode, I can't wait to get out. It was definitely one of, if not my most favorite episode that I've recorded. And I want people to be able to see it because Ramon's story needs to be told. And I'm sure loads of people will try and tell it. So other than that, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing if you have. like I said, it does always sort of make my day when I see it go up, even just by one. If I had 100 subscribers, it would be pretty cool. And yeah, have a great week. Until next time.